Hello, welcome to this video. This is a video from the Fundraising Partnership, and we're going to be talking about face-to-face charity fundraising. And this is aimed at people who maybe not thought of doing this before. So this half hour could be something that changes the second half of your working life, because if you're thinking about career change, you want to do something that gives you a scope for work-life balance, and you want to do something worthwhile, you should really think about charity face-to-face fundraising. Lots of people end up saying something like, I'd never thought of doing something like this before, but now that I realize it's the best job that I've ever had. And we are the Fundraising Partnership, and part of our mission is to change the face of face-to-face fundraising. And one of the ways we do that is by bringing new people in who maybe hadn't thought of doing this before. And this is what this is aimed at. If you've never thought of doing this before, you don't see yourself like this, I'd like to watch this video, 10 things about charity lotteries. Think about whether you want to do it. And then we ask you to do one thing, which is come and see for yourself. Basically, we invite you to come out, watch one of our fundraisers at work for 2 hours, actually see what the job involves, ask them any questions, come and meet us, see whether it's something you want to do. Essentially, it's try before you buy. That's all we're saying. Come and give it a go. See what you think. You might be really surprised. So let's get on with our list. And number one we've got is lotteries are vital to charities. When you think of charity fundraising, you probably think street collections. Maybe you think of telephone and TV adverts. Maybe you think of those people who climb mountains, run marathons, ride bikes and jump out of planes. Maybe you think of your high street and all those charity shops. You probably don't think of charity lotteries. It is, if you like, a bit hidden. It is like the Cinderella of fundraising, but it's a much bigger deal than you might realize. There are various estimates of how much they raise, but they all come in at over £300 million a year for charities in the UK. It's one of the three most common forms of giving, and it's in growth as well. It's growing by about 10% a year, and it also is one of the best ways of securing supporters that then give additional support or donations. So it's a really big deal. Give you two examples. We work for Sue Ryder. Everybody's heard of Sue Ryder. Everybody thinks it's great. Nobody knows what it does. What it does is end-of-life care, hospice care, neurological care, and a national bereavement support service. They have a very well-established lottery, people giving just £1 or £2 a week. There are 40,000 people doing that. And in the 7 years they've been running it, it's raised more than £10 million. It's going to raise £2 million to go towards the costs of those services this year. And even if we stopped fundraising today, there would be at least another £10 million of income to come to that charity. Clare House is a children's hospice, helping families deal with really tough situations with sick children on Merseyside, and they have 28,000 people in their lottery. It raised £1.3 million last year. It's their biggest single source of fundraising income. It's paying the costs of providing those outstanding, really important services, and they're provided for free. These charities, generally speaking, do not get large amounts of state funding. It's typically somewhere between less than 10% and maybe as much as 20–25%. That's about as much. Most of it has to come from local fundraising, and that's why the services are free. During lockdown, this became even more apparent. Most charities really struggled to raise funds because of the effects of the lockdown, and were reliant on their lottery to keep them going. Sue Ryder is a very good example. Demand for end-of-life care, bereavement support, palliative care, all went up during the pandemic. So there was a real increase in demand. At the same time as they were doing that and dealing with all of the complications of trying to provide the care in those circumstances, those 400 shops across the high streets that we all know of and they're known for, they were all shut. They were losing £2 million a month due to those shop closures all through this period while they were dealing with all those other challenges. And for all of these charities, when their shops were closed during lockdown, when the events were cancelled, what they found was the lottery was their lockdown lifeline. It's the thing that helped them keep going through it. They got government support, public support, but the lottery was really important in that. Most of these charities are trying to help more and more people. Demand, for example, for end-of-life and palliative care is predicted to go up by nearly 55% in this decade alone, right? And that care's got to be paid for by increasing the income of the charity from donations. We can only provide care to people for free because people care for us. And that is how these charities operate. So what's special about lottery fundraising is that the charities only pay for the supporters are recruited and make the monthly minimum number of monthly payments. So they're only paying for what they get. Typically, they're going to get a 400% return over 6 years from investment in face-to-face fundraising. So what lottery recruited face-to-face does, it gives a stable, reliable income that is really resilient. You're not over-dependent on any one individual or any one source. It gives a fantastic level of return on investment with no upfront costs and no financial risk. It also provides unrestricted funds. They can spend the money where it's most needed, and that really helped during the pandemic. And it also creates a massive donor base who will often give more. And in the process of recruiting them, we're going out and promoting the charity to massive numbers of people, raising awareness and helping people potentially access the services if and when they ever need them. And that's why we talk about it being the Cinderella of charity fundraising. It doesn't get all the attention, but it raises enormous amounts and is absolutely vital to charities. Number two, people with different backgrounds succeed at doing this. People are often surprised by this, but a wide range of people have been successful and are being successful, whether it's people who have done a bit of sales before, maybe for utilities or something similar, or have worked in customer service, maybe in a retail environment, or financial services or claims or something of that type. But it's also people that have worked in public service, people who've worked in compassionate services like nursing, or have served their community by being postal workers, or their country by being in the military, or their community through teaching, who have great communication and planning skills. It's often people that have actually done charity work themselves and now want to do even more of it. Quite often it's people where their family circumstances have changed, such as children growing up, maybe going to university, or maybe, you know, that they've become divorced or lost their partner, something like that. They're able to do a reset. So a wide variety of people are potentially attracted and are successful in this job. Now, we know kids at school are not sitting there thinking, when I grow up, I want to be a charity fundraiser. They want to be an astronaut or a ballet dancer or a footballer, right? We know that. It's not that type of career, but it is a really good second career for people maybe in their 40s or 50s that are looking for something else to move on to, particularly for women of that age group. Some of our most successful fundraisers are women in their 60s. The average age of our workforce is 58, right? So we're looking for people over 40, over 50, over 60. We have people over 70 really doing well at this. And so many people are looking for a job that's local, but feel they won't be looked at for various reasons, and particularly because of age. Well, we actively welcome people of that type. You don't need to be really, really good at public speaking. You don't need to be some really ruthless salesperson or be able to bamboozle people. That's the opposite of what works with this. What works in this is people that can build trust, people buy from people. So if you can establish trust, have nice conversations with people, keep it nice and light, it's very much the kind of people who, when they walk their dog, end up talking to the other people walking them, having little chats in bus queues or on trains or in cafes or bars or restaurants or whatever. That's really the essential quality that you need, is to be a conversationalist, someone that can have conversations with people. We give thorough training. We take you through everything that's involved. It's step by step. It's very thorough. You don't even have to go away to do it. You can do it at home on your sofa in your dressing gown if you want. You just work your way through a series of videos and take the online tests that go with them. Very easy to get started, and then we provide fantastic support once you start. So if you're coming from a completely different field, don't worry. You'll get all the support that you will need in the first few days and thereafter, in person, on the phone. And that's why so many people end up saying, I'd never thought of doing something like this before, but now I'm doing it, I realize it's the best job that I've ever had. But don't take my word for it. Come and see for yourself. Come and see one of our people doing it and think to yourself, I could see myself actually doing that. It looks like something I could do, I would be able to do, I'd enjoy doing. And yeah, come and meet one of our people. So people with all kinds of different backgrounds can be successful in this. Number three, it's all about work-life balance. We're fully committed to providing work-life balance. So many people are alienated with their work at various stages in their life, whether it's the commute or the physical workspace or the people they have to work with, the endless meetings, the sleazy bosses, the ones that don't trust you, the staff meetings, the marking, the inspections, always having to take work home with you or work late at night. Those are all the kind of things people don't like. Well, this is totally different. You're working on your own, you have a level of autonomy, and you're trusted and respected. And why are people looking at me? Well, they want more of their life back, right? You know, they want to spend more time with family or with friends or pets. You know, they want to do those things they love doing, whether that's getting to their caravan, going on a cruise once a year, playing a bit of golf, getting out in their garden, doing the bingo, or playing football or watching football with their grandkids, whatever it is. That's what you do. If you're going to get more of that in your life, you often have to change what you do for work. So we can offer a really good option. This might really work for people. It's local working, generally within half an hour of home. Your working day includes travel time, and there's a travel allowance for the costs as well. We've got a variety of employment options, 3, 4, or 5 days a week, with scope to alter later if you need to. You can spread your hours. There's a level of flexibility. You can work between 9 and 7 and on Saturdays. And you can, if you want to, spread the hours across that period. We obviously need to agree that with you, but there's a level of flexibility and it can flex with your needs because we're a supportive employer. We're sensitive to family and health issues, including mental health issues that relate to the age group we're primarily looking for, which is people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Now, the other thing that's really important about this work-life balance is what you'll be doing is tremendously worthwhile. We work for hospices. They care for people going through end of life, and they support the families during it, before and after as well. It could not be more worthwhile. It is literally life and death that these charities are dealing with. That's what you're going to be raising funds for. That's how you can make a difference. So this is a job where you can feel you're doing something worthwhile, you are making a difference, and you can get work-life balance. And that's a really good combination in any job. Number 4, the best fundraisers aren't the people you might think they are, right? You don't need the gift of the gab. You don't need to be absolutely ruthless. You don't need to be able to trick people. There's no tricks involved at all. You just need to be able to get into conversations and build trust. It's about having conversations. It's that ability to have chats with people when you're out and about, you're doing things, easily putting people at ease. We ask all our supporters to give feedback on our fundraisers via a survey, and we ask them to use their own words. And these are the words they use about our fundraisers. This is what we are looking for. This is what we do. You'll see friendly, polite, pleasant, nice, lovely. Those are the top ones. Often very friendly, very polite is what they put. They also mention no pressure, not too pushy, which is great. That's exactly what they fear a fundraiser is going to be like. Often they'll describe the fundraiser as a lovely lady or a really nice gentleman, which I think is really nice as well. That's what our fundraiser are like. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for professionals as well, although not literally those professionals. So it's a wide range of people and backgrounds. If you fit those characteristics, if you're nice, you're friendly, you like talking with people, you're comfortable talking with people, you could potentially not only be good at this, but really enjoy it. So if you look at this and think, yeah, that's me, those are the things we ask supporters to rank our fundraisers on. Do I think I'm that kind of person? I'm trustworthy, I'm credible, I'm clear and thorough. I can be professional, I'm friendly and polite. I feel I can represent the charity. Then you could be really successful at this. But again, come and see for yourself. Come and meet one of our fundraisers, watch them at work, see how we do it. You might well look at it and go, yeah, I'm that kind of person. I could do that. So the best fundraisers aren't the people that you might think. £1 a week is what we're generally getting from people. It's a small amount, but it has a really big impact. We get asked this question quite a lot. It's a really good question. How do we raise money if we're only asking for £1 a week? Doesn't sound like much. It must be a miracle. Well, I'm going to explain it to you in really short, truncated form here. What we're basically doing is our proposition is we're asking lots of people to give a small amount regularly to make a big difference together. Because it's a small amount, it's not a burden on people. You don't have to feel bad about that. People can afford it, and a large number of people can potentially afford it. And by lots of people doing it, you start to make a lot of money. This is the other key thing in here. This is the thing. It is just £1 or £2 a week. It doesn't go up. We don't ask for more later. There's no contract. They're not locked in. We don't make money by selling details or sharing it. Don't bombard people with stuff. They're covered by the direct debit guarantee. Don't even have to show the card or give out their account details, and everything is encrypted. It takes only a few minutes to set up, and it doesn't even start for a month. Don't take any money for a month, right? The point is there's no catch, right? There's genuinely no catch. That's not how it works. There's no trick involved of that type. So because it's only £1 a week, there's no catch. And because people are habitual, so once they do it, they'll often keep doing it. You then have the power of maths comes into play, and I'm going to explain those. So I'm going to show you how this works financially using an example of a fundraiser, okay? So the first thing you need to know is it's £1 a week, but the average donation for a supporter recruited is in excess of £300. It's more than £300, right? And that's because people will do it for 6 years or more before they stop for whatever reason. That's if you do it the right kind of way. So when you think that what we're requiring is not £1 a week donors, but £300 donors, you can see how the maths is really, really changed and the value really changes. So let's get my friend the count here up from Sesame Street, and I'm going to get my calculator out as well. And I want to imagine, I'm going to use a scenario of a full-time person. This is just illustrative. It's just to illustrate it, right? It would work with any set of numbers. And I want to imagine they've gone out for a day and they've found 5 people that have agreed to do it. Maybe one of these groups of 5 people have agreed to do it, right? So that's going to use 5 people agreeing to do it on a day. So we've got our 5 people, and one of those people, let's pretend it's Keith Richards, has decided to get a double ticket, right? So you've actually got 6 tickets that you've got from that day. That's all, 6 tickets, 5 at £1 a week, and one of the people has agreed to do £2 a week, right? So it's 4 plus 1 at £2 a week, £2 a week. So you've got your 6 tickets, and let's say you do that each day of the working week. It's 5 days. You'll have signed up 30 tickets. So you've got 30 tickets from your week's work, right? So those 30 people are going to pay £1 a week, and over the next year, they're therefore going to give £52, right? That's pretty straightforward. So those £52 from those 30 people from your 1 week's work are going to give the charity £1,560 in the next year. Yeah. So recruiting 6 tickets per day for a week will raise £1,560 for the charity in the following year. Yep, great. That's nice. But they're not going to do it for just a year, those people. They're going to do it on average for 6. So those 30 people are actually going to give 6 years worth of £1,560. So it's £9,360 that you're going to raise from your 1 week's work, nearly £10,000, quite impressive, over the following 6 years. So that's great. That's a week's work. Now, let's imagine you do this for a year and you're able to do it at that level every week. This is not a requirement. This is just to illustrate the maths, okay? I could have used any numbers to make this point. So you got to do that for 48 weeks of the year. Then that will mean that you will have done that 48 times, and it will be £449,280. So a fundraiser recruits 30 tickets per week for a year, will raise nearly £450,000 for the charity in the following 6 years. Amazing, right? I think that's about £79,000, 70-something thousand pounds in each of those years. Now, if you come and have a career with us and you maybe work for us for 5 years and you did that every year for 5 years, then these numbers get even more impressive. So a fundraiser who works for 5 years at that rate is actually going to raise in excess of £2 million for the charity, which is really incredible. This is the difference one fundraiser can make for that charity. And this is why we put so much emphasis in all our training around support and retention, because it's what makes the whole thing really work. Signing up the right people for the right amount in the right way, in a really ethical way, is what delivers that type of result. And that's why lotteries generate so much for charities, and it's such a good form of giving. That's why it's so resilient during things like lockdown. So that's why £1 a week is only a small amount, but it can have a really big impact if you do it right. Number 6, only face-to-face really works. Now, when we tell people we work face-to-face, it can be daunting. There's a common reaction. People think, oh my God, right? And I'm going to deal with this on a couple of different levels. So the first one I'm going to do is, why do we even bother? Yeah, why do we have to rely on doing it this way? So obviously social media is a big thing. You might imagine this has a big impact on charitable giving, that it's been a real game changer for charities. It hasn't actually been like that at all. People are always short of time. It's all about the timing for recruitment. It's essentially an impulse purchase, right? So the trouble with social media is it just doesn't work in terms of getting supporters. So most of our charities have been working this like mad, and they report they get a few dozen sign-ups a year at most. Like it's a couple a month is what they're getting. Most of those are actually people we've spoken with who've then decided later to do it. By contrast, we're getting thousands and thousands of sign-ups every single year. You know, one fundraiser is getting more sign-ups than they get all year from social media and online sign-ups for any of these charities, right? Not only that, but they tend to not do it for as long. You think they do it for longer because they've, you know, gone to the website and checked it out, but they do it for half the length of time because they've not had that introduction into it. So it yields half as much, and it doesn't yield the additional donation value as well. So it's not very good for quantity, and it's not very good for quality either. And if you think about it, you know, conversation's really powerful. You know, we've been able to have conversations as human beings for about 2 million years. By contrast, we've only been able to read for 5,000, and until about 500 years ago, half the population couldn't read in the UK. So we've been used to having conversations for a long time. We're really well evolved and adapted to deal with it. And that's why all the most effective communication methods that are cited in all the research, tone of voice, facial expression, the words someone is using, body language, gestures, all of those things, they're all in-person things, right? Those are the things that really make an impact. So the power of in-person is that, firstly, only a person actually talking to you will nudge someone to actually doing it. They can adapt to the other person. Why have a leaflet when you can have a walking, talking leaflet you can ask your questions to? We've seen how it's the only method that generates the volume of recruits. And because it gives that in-person introduction is warm, it creates long-term supporters that give that large amount over time. And 14% of them will give additional amounts. Large amounts will be donated through wills and legacies. That's often millions of pounds comes through from people who signed up originally via the lottery. And Sue Ryder have estimated they've found 168 volunteers who became volunteers because they met one of our fundraisers on the door. And only a person talking to you can get across the true impact of the charity. And we're doing this to over 10,000 people a year per fundraiser, right? And that'll be people that will learn about the charity and may be able to use the services one day. And that's in-person encounter will make the supporter feel good, make it feel personal, and can also make sure we're protecting against vulnerable people. We're doing it in an ethical way. By doing it face-to-face, you can look after all of the concerns people might have about how it's done, right? That's the power of in-person. That's why we knock on doors. It really works. It's the only thing that really works. But we say, come and see us do it. You'll see what it's like. You'll see the impact that it can have. Only face-to-face really works. Number 7, it's not sales and it's not chugging. We get it. It's the image that people have of sales is these utterly unethical, ruthless men, or these slightly sleazy but comical men that are a bit dodgy, right? We get that's the image of sales. It's not sales. That's not how we think of it at all. And we not think of ourselves as chuggers either. We all know how irritating that can be and alienating. That's not what we do, right? We don't guilt trip people. We don't lecture them. We don't harass people. In fact, we don't even recite a script. So it's not giving lectures to people. It's not about any tricks that you use. There's no little gift of the gabs. It's not about exaggerating. It's not about any of those things. We don't see it as a contest. You know, it's not like a battle of wills. It's not about having an argument either. Nor is it about badgering people, pestering them, or just asking away until eventually people give in. It's none of those things. What it is conversations. Conversations are the doorway to get recruit supporters. We're trying to connect with people, not sell to people. And we do that through the power of conversations. And what you need to be able to do is get into conversations with people, be able to build a little bit of rapport, whether that's around, you know, their family or their lovely garden or the nice car they've got or something you notice is an interest. Probably the best thing is actually people's dogs. You'd be amazed how effective that is if you play with someone's dog, how likely they are to do it. But you're just using it to just, you know, just get into the conversation, because before someone can choose to donate their money, they have to choose to donate their time. And we use consent. We ask people whether they want to talk with us. We don't impose ourselves on people. So what you're then doing is you're being an ambassador for the charity. And that doesn't mean just eating posh chocolates at receptions, but it also doesn't mean avalanching people with stuff. It's not about giving a lecture. It's about picking out selectively a few simple ideas and putting them across in a way that people can relate to. That's what the secret is. It's not about reeling off facts and figures or lots of compelling arguments. It's just selective and working into a conversation, and most of all, starting from where that person actually is, because the art of conversation is listening. You listen to the person, you work out where their point of interest is like to be, you find out what they know already, you build on that, you adapt how you talk and how you act according to that person. And because you've listened to them, it's respectful, and they will in turn listen to you. So listening is really, really important. It's the hallmark actually in all sales industries that the most effective people in sales are the people who listen more than the average person does. And what we're doing is we think we're largely finding people rather than persuading people. We think out there are lots of people that maybe heard of the charity and support it, but not all that many. There are a lot more that have heard of the charity and don't yet support it. There's also people who haven't heard of the charity, but would support it if they knew about it. So what we're doing is we're finding those people that were quite inclined to do it, but waiting to be asked, converting that latent awareness or inclination into active support. So we think, in a sense, there's people out there who would support these charities if they knew about them, and the charities out there trying to find them, and you're the bit of the jigsaw that connects the two things together. And we ask you to come out and watch us do it and see how what we're doing is largely finding people and engaging them from where they are through conversation in order to recruit them to become long-term supporters. So it's not sales and it's not chugging. It is, in fact, a legitimate profession. So one of the things these things are is not professionalism and not standards or anything like that. It's actually what we do is completely different. It's regulated by the Charity Commission. There's a thing called the Fundraising Regulator, and there's an industry body, and we work within the guidelines of the Gambling Commission. So there is a level of regulation that produces advice, best practice, rules you have to follow. You register with these bodies as a company and as a charity. They inspect what you do. They have checklist, they deal with complaints, and they can fine or deregister you. And what we do is we take those policies and those policies and guidelines, we turn them into our own policies and training practices. So we take something like their guidelines on how to handle vulnerability. We take their list of offences that they inspect against, the things that you're not allowed to be caught doing if you're inspected. And we turn it into things like our code of professional conduct, our sensitivity and vulnerable persons policy, and we issue them to you and we make them part of your terms and conditions that you actually have to abide by. And these are very extensive and comprehensive, and they cover lots of things. And I'm going to just give you a few examples. So it says, we don't knock on sheltered accommodation. We don't knock on doors where people have got a sticker. Well, we respect people's property and privacy. We don't walk across their gardens or peer through their windows. We never go into people's houses. And we are aware to issues like dementia. We're aware of issues around gambling. We don't use the lottery as the main way to get support. We talk about the cause. We talk about the impact support. We do it in a conversational way so we can pick up on any vulnerability issues. And we train people really, really thoroughly. It's all part of the training program. There's a module on the code of professional conduct. There's one on sensitivity and vulnerability. We do all the compliance stuff. You watch the videos and you take a test on it so we know that you know it. We go out and check that you're doing it right. So, that's part of the initial support, but part of the ongoing support. We do that because we've got to do it right, but we also do it because we love to catch people doing it right. We have a fantastic team of fundraisers that take pride in doing the job right, and we love having the excuse to tell them what a great job they're doing. And that shows that their work matters, their day-to-day professionalism, which we're not seeing because they're out there working on their own, that we're noticing that they're doing it really, really well. So that is another reason that we have so much inspection, because our values are really important to us. We believe, get great people, give them great support and insight, and you can achieve excellence. The other key aspect of that is just the impact that professional fundraisers make. We talked about it earlier on, the amounts of money being raised. It's a really, really important profession. You'll be really proud to do this and to make the difference for these charities. So is it a good career? Well, we recruit good people and you're raising money for really good causes. We do it in a really good way and you're part of a good team. You'll get good training and support, and we'll try and make sure you get good work-life balance as well. And that, for many people, is the indicator of a really good career. But come and see for yourself. Keep saying it. Come and meet our team. Come and have a look. See whether it's for you. So fundraising is a legitimate profession. And number 9 is people aren't rude. This is the biggest concern people have about working door to door is, that people are going to be rude or aggressive and all those things. Well, they're not. Imagine if someone knocked at your door Are you going to march up there and be rude to them? No, you're not going to be rude because you're a nice person, which is what most people are. And you're going to judge people by how they come across. And we employ friendly, nice people. We don't do things like stick our foot in the door or peer in the window or walk across their lawn. We know what type of people we employ. You saw it from the feedback: friendly, polite, nice people. People are not going to be rude to them. And we work for really good charities that people care about. So the truth is, nearly everybody is really polite. Even the people that don't want to talk to you are really polite about it. Yeah. Occasionally it's a bad time and people are a bit short with you, but they're not rude to you. So we don't constantly deal with rude or aggressive people. People wouldn't do the job if it was like that all the time. So yeah, maybe once or twice a year, someone's going to be a little bit off with you. That's it. It's not every week. It's not every month. It's occasional. And certainly we don't get issues with people getting involved in aggressive situations. People just wouldn't do the job, right? So it's not really like that. And it's a lot about how you do it. And also people aren't as they think. So yeah, what happens is every day there'll be people who are very happy to do it. And lots of people who don't do it are really nice to you anyway. So lots of people who say no are also really nice to you. The hardest doors are actually your car door. It's actually getting out there every day and doing it day in, day out, particularly in bad weather, because in bad weather, the care doesn't stop. So the fundraising can't stop either. You can't do the job by just doing it in good weather, right? This is the other thing we need to be honest about. But we're sensible. You can't work in a tornado. You can't work in a heat wave. And you do get used to it. You do become good at working around the issues, working flexibly, using what you can, being prepared, and you get used to it to some extent. So you've got to be able to get out there in all weathers. But that main concern that people have about people being awful to you, it's just not the case. Yeah, it actually restores your faith in human nature as you realize most people are really nice. The people that sign up are really happy about doing it. We don't force anybody to do it. So they feel really good about it and you get a buzz out of it. And along the way, you will meet lots of nice people. Lots of people won't be interested, it's true, but you'll meet lots of nice people every single day. And if that's not something you'd enjoy, then come out and see what it's really like. See for yourself. You'll see people are not rude to our fundraisers and they're certainly not aggressive. Number 10, why do we get paid? We get asked this question quite a lot. It's actually quite straightforward. One of the reasons is people have tried doing it with volunteers. It doesn't work, okay? But all charities are a blend of volunteers and employees. They both play their role. There's certain roles that are done by volunteers, certain by staff. So obviously the nursing staff get paid, right? We get paid because it's a strictly regulated profession. You're working on your own, unsupervised, using judgment and sensitivity, right? You also need a level of persistence and self-motivation to do it. And as we've seen, our best fundraisers raise an awful lot of money for the charities, and they're raising far more than they're getting paid themselves. Typically, it's about £9 raised for every pound the fundraiser earns. So they're generating more than enough to justify their own payment. So a little bonus on number 11, I've got to say this, I've underplayed this as well, but this is a big part of the motivation to do it. We work for really great charities. Sue Ryder provides a national bereavement service, so you could fundraise for them anywhere in the UK. Also, there are 6 local hospices we work for, and there's also the neurological centres, and they do an enormous amount of support for all kinds of people. It's an amazing charity, and you find out more about it. I didn't know what Sue Ryder did. It's literally amazing how much care they provide and to how many people. The Kirkwood's an adult hospice in West Yorkshire, helping people in Kirklees and Calderdale. Well established, really embedded in the community, does fantastic work supporting people through end-of-life care. Clare House is one of our children's hospices in Merseyside. Everybody knows Clare House in Merseyside. Formed by a family there from a car boot sale about 25 years ago, and has since grown to be this amazing charity. It literally is amazing. They've got a new facility now over in Liverpool they need to develop over the next few years, and the lottery will really help them take the services across the Mersey onto the Liverpool side, and they have amazing facilities. And it is an absolutely amazing charity, a real Liverpool and Merseyside institution. Derryn House covers the area of Lancashire, sort of north of Clare House, from sort of Wigan, right up to Preston, Burnley, Blackburn, and so on, right up into Cumbria. Enormous area it covers. It's gone through a transformation in the last 5 years, got a really dynamic management team in there now. They've completely redone all the facilities. They've got an outstanding care rating, has indeed had all of these hospices. They were Charity of the Year for Just Giving a couple of years ago. It's an amazing charity, and it's looking to help more and more people become more and more well-known, and we're a part of that. Forget Me Not is a newer children's hospice working all the way west of Bradford and Leeds, right across Calderdale. and Kirklees, right across to the Pennines. They've got a lottery that they're getting started up again now. They're really looking to recruit. There are lots of shops in the area. It's really well known, children's hospice, and it's got some amazing impact statistics that you can see there. So I've underplayed this, but one of the really big things is the charities you work for. They are literally amazing. We're all very proud to work for these charities. In fact, it's quite humbling to work for these charities, and you will be proud to work for them. And not only will you be proud, but your family and friends will be proud when they hear what you do for these amazing charities. It's literally a matter of life and death what we do. And the last thing I just want to add is your little bonus one is you'll be joining a great team. We are a really values-led company. We like to think the values run through everything we do. The people who work for us all work to these that really believe in what we're doing. But as I say, don't take my word for it. Come and meet our team. Come and phone us, speak to us. You'll have contact with us. Come and see what we do. You know, give it a try. You never know. This might be that career you didn't know that you were really looking for.